We live? Yes, we are. And who do we have here? Oh, dami! Namimiss tayo pare ng mga kaibigan natin. Daming nakakamiss sa atin. Kasi
Magandang gabi
kahapon.
po sa inyo lahat.
Hi,
Rinig pa kami, rinig pa
evening.
kami. Naririnig niyo
Oy,
pa kami.
oy. Yung mic mo. Yun.
Yan, naririnig niyo ako, hindi?
Of course, naririnig ka.
Yan,
Ako.
very good.
Okay.
Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat.
Ah.
Wow. Ang dami.
Oh, dami tayong mga nagsusubaybay at naghihintay kung ano yung ating mga kulukadidang na pagsasabi ngayong gabi.
Oo nga, exciting nga ito. Itong ating pinagandaan ay hindi ito, I expect na hindi ito matatapos na isang gabi, ano?
Ay,
Kasi ang dami
mahabang
nating
kwento to.
matututunan eh. Oh.
At saka, okay, topic natin, basahin lang natin ha. Second-rate bloggers, ako from memory, second-rate bloggers are being muzzled, muffled, and muddled with penalties of all kinds.
Oo
Yun.
nga.
Oh, so who's behind this, ha? Who's behind this and why? Diba? Why would they even want to? Diba?
Paano ba natin to papaliwanag sa kanila? Sisimulan natin sa bakit saan tayo? Ganun.
Magsisimula tayo sa pag-greet sa kanila. Okay? Yung nandito ngayon.
Tama yun.
Andyan si si Shirley. Andyan si Maureen.
Mentarista, nandyan.
Si Lloyd San Diego. Bago ba to si Lloyd ang nag-greet sa atin? Si Portia.
Matagal na nating follower yan.
Oy, si Sel, matagal na to si Sel. And bakit yung mga boys hindi talaga nag-ano? Yung mga taga-Rappler dyan na nakikinig, mag-chat nga kayo dito.
Oo nga.
Tsaka yung mga taga-Star. Tsaka yung Portia. Okay. Feisty. Feisty. Unang-una yan kanina pa. Sino pa? Mary Angel. Komentarista.
Si Luna nandyan.
Amor. Wow, galing ng ating mga mga taga
fresh.
Yan.
Fresh.
Yun. So, ito ay isang malaking tema, no? Para sa mga bagong dating na mga nandiyan dyan, hindi nagsasalita, hindi nagko-comment, nanonood ng kunwari. Mag-comment naman kayo. Bad naman kayo.
Tsaka mag-like and share ang pinakamaganda dyan.
Like and share. Alam nyo, kailangan talaga namin yun. As I have posted, if you have seen my my graph, that is not all. No? There are so many graphs that will show you yung mga nakakaiyak na mga numero na mga bumubulusok kapag meron kang sinusulat na maganda, fishy, juicy, tapos biglang wala kang wala traffic. Isipin mo yung kanina. Sinong nagbasa nung kanina? Aber. Mas marami pa tayong viewers natin kaysa sa reach ng aking
kasi nakapagbasa. Nakapagbasa.
Sino nakapagbasa nung ano bang title nung pinost ko para?
Baka ba yun?
Hindi, may title yun. May sino yung title.
Meron talaga. Teka, minimize natin to. Mahaba yan.
Wait lang. May nakalimutan pala ako ha. Ano ba yung title nun? Tingnan mo nga kung anong title nun. Nakalimutan ko eh. Kasi
wala nga ako
yung
Facebook.
Okay, wait. Ganito kasi yan. Yung Luminous, sa ngayon, I'm trying to avoid directly linking my posts from Wandangkal in Luminous kasi we are trying to find out if this is a bot or a person who is behind all of this throttling. But okay. Now, in this afternoon, even naman kung ako ay maglagay ng walang kakwenta-kwentang sulat lang doon ng alam niyo may background at saka may mga sulat-sulat. Hindi imposible naman na Teka lang, importante ito sinasabi ng anak ko. Ano yun? Ha? Nico!
Sinumbong.
Sinumbong ng aking anak na babae, si Kuya. Oh, okay. So, kaya ganito yan, ha. Kahit na magsulat naman ako ng walang kakwenta-kwentang isang, ano, ganyan. Ano tawag doon? Yung may background, tapos may mga letra-letrang ganyan. May, wala lang.
Meme.
Yung mga ganun, parang, parang yung kuya quotes, parang kuya quotes. Imposible naman,
Kuya ko.
4,000 lang buong maghapon ang aking reach.
Oo nga, di ba?
4,000 buong maghapon. Ang title ay Politically Charged Fact Check.
Yan.
Nakita nyo ba to? Ha?
Yan.
Sino nakakita sa inyo ng politically charged fact check sa page ko? Doon sa mga wall nyo, ha? Without you going to my page.
Yung makikita niya sa
kasi galing ako doon sa isang kaibigan natin, tinanong ko. Kasi lagi yung nag-ano ano to sinasabi mo? Laging nagko-comment yun eh. Pero today, wala siya man lang ano-ano.
Wala.
So, nag-usap kami.
Sama ka, Trixie.
Yung voice mo pare ko may problema. Nag-ano ka?
Voice.
Tawag nito, Mickey Mouse.
Mickey.
Yan.
No.
Okay.
Mickey Mouse pa rin.
So, ganito yan. Hindi niya natanggap. Sino nakatanggap nun? Lagay nga natin yung title. Politically charged fact check. Sino nakatanggap? Walang nagko-comment. Ang grabe naman, 200 ng tao dyan. Walang nagko-comment, walang nakatanggap. Or nasa baba?
Yeah, nasa baba yung comment.
Sorry. Di ko nakita. Okay? Yung friend ko rin, hindi niya nakita. Okay. Now, alam niyo ba kung ano to? This was a fact check made by Rappler on Amy Marcos.
Yeah, I remember that.
And this one only came out July 6. And si Amy Marcos parang ang tawag niya doon ay missing content or misleading, no? Ang kanilang judgment. And it alludes to parang it insinuates that Amy Marcos is a credit grabber.
Okay. Doon sa sige ma'am.
So yung fact check nila insinuates that Amy Marcos is a credit grabber. Okay? Now, don't you think people would be interested to read or even see or share or what? Before, isus ko, lumilipad to mga ganitong klaseng content. But anyway, that is what. Do you want me to share that later yung content, okay? Tingnan niyo yan because alam niyo this one is if that star fact check was a spectacular, this one is more spectacular because everything they said take down mali. Okay? Everything, as in everything, even the issue.
Parang
okay?
Parang yung fact check ng Philstar sa
there was even no fact to check. There was nothing to check. And they checked on it and then made up a story. Hindi na to fact slip eh. This is a different genre.
Parang hindi alam na lang siya, no? Parang police pangkalawakan Nazi style.
Hindi, gumagawa na lang talaga ng kwento. Ano to? Parang yung laglag bala. Hindi kaya parang tukhang. Based on their version, ha? Tukhang. Ano yun? Kung kay Pinoy, yung tukhang, alam mo may pangalan yan eh. Yung Oplan Lambat Sibat. Hindi nila alam yun.
Lambat Sibat.
Yung Pino alam yun. Oo.
Alala ko yun.
Okay.
Alala ko yun.
Alright, so we begin with our topic. No, our topic is about we want to reveal what is the ideology. Okay? Reason. Tama, no? Parang pangit talaga yung audio mo. Palitan mo kayong mic mo.
Reason.
Your audio is so bad.
Parang Mickey Mouse na naman ako, no? Parang bumabagal.
Yes, yeah. And your bandwidth is very low.
Ayun, no? Nagproblema na naman ang bandwidth ko. Okay.
But
sige,
I think you can restart. Hindi.
Yeah.
I think you can restart because this will not be cut because I'm here.
Ayan, wala na. Wala yung problema.
Your audio is still like Mickey Mouse. Your audio is still like Mickey Mouse.
Sige lang,
So.
okay lang. Okay ako. Mag-reconnect ako.
Hoy, gusto nyo bang ganyan yung salita ni Attorney Ahmed? Siya pa naman magpe-present ngayong gabi. Okay, pabayaan muna natin si Attorney Ahmed. Restart mo na siya kasi mahirap na. Marami siya sasabihin ngayon eh. Nakahanda yan ng materialis ngayon eh. Meron yun siyang presentation. Anyway, so mag-intro lang ako ng ating topic for tonight. Pag naglalagay kasi yung karamihan ng mga comment about this issue, they either point out na itong mga forces behind this throttling, this takedowns in Facebook, that they are communists, that they are self-aggrandized media, whatever. Alam mo yun? But we cannot identify what's really wrong with them. So, yun yung isang tiningnan namin kasi we need to identify. Sabi nga ni Sun Tzu, di ba? Ano ba sabi ni Sun Tzu? Kilala niyo ba si Sun Tzu? Sun Tzu is the art of war. Sabi ni Sun Tzu, know yourself, know your enemy. If you do not know yourself, you will lose the war. If you do not know your enemy, you will lose the war. If you do not know yourself and you do not know your enemy, you will definitely lose the war. So right now, let's try to see how the enemy views us and how we are supposed to view them. Kasi ang problema natin dito is more on a name game. Okay? So, Sun Tzu, Art of War. Kilala niyo naman yan, di ba? Si Sun Tzu, The Art of War, no? Okay. So, yun yung ating balik ako sa comments and okay. Sige nga, before tayo magsimula, what do you think is the ideology behind itong mga talagang hot na hot at gustong-gustong patahimikin yung mga kagaya natin in general, hindi lang kami. This is not just about us. So in general, what do you think is their objective? What is their ideology? Wag mo na yung objective kasi alam na natin their objective is to silence. But what will it serve? Maano ba? Ano ba to siya? Med, are you still there? Hey, are you okay na? You're still in the stream eh. Kaya nga. Hindi, okay na. Ha?
Okay.
Better. Okay, good. Ayan, so he's back. So how do we start here? So na-intro ko na, no? Now we want to, to control the narrative. Yes, why? Why would they want to control the narrative? And what purpose? They want to nip it in the bud, mga bagong, well-informed batch na katauhan ng mga tulad namin. Yeah. Probably, kasi kami ni Attorney Ahmed, we also have our own mainstream media outlets. We have a way of speaking out. So, the ideology that wants to silence you, you see, Tom says it says communism. Okay? Viewers at mixed opinion. Maganda yung libro ni Sun Tzu talaga. Yes, of course, that's a very, okay, so, okay. So far, no one is, they want to restrict the people. Yes, that is what we see. But why? Diba? Just because Reza is strict. And how could you, okay, ganito lang yan. How do you think could she even sleep well at night and then wake up feeling strong and energized? Knowing that she's fighting for the freedom of the press and then silencing people like us. What do you think is the justification in her own mind for all those incongruent actions? Kasi mahirap tayong papaniwalaan kapag tayo ay daldal na yan sila, mga ganito yun sila. Pero hindi pinaglalaban nila yung freedom of the press eh.
Siguro ang tatanong natin is what kind of societal platform, kung ano, what kind of government do we have that allows this kind of thing, that enables people to do this kind of thing as a tolerable or allowed kind of action.
Yeah, si Loida says, ayaw nila ang narrative natin, ayaw nila.
Nawala. Meron talagang nag-trip sa atin do you still see JP or me? Ano nangyayari? Ako ba ang nawala o si Sir JP? Hi. Ako ba yung nawawala o si Sir JP? Anong no, sir? Si Sir JP nawala. Okay, good. I'm not good. It's not good. Now we know kung na kaming dalawa pala ang tinitira. Itong nangyayari ngayon, even this disconnection is so it's so weird. 'Di ba? Parang how suddenly bigla kaming magkaka problema sa connection. And this has been going on so often na pati yung connection namin bigla na lang ganyan. And it can be easily done by people, no? Na bigla kang bumagal, biglang wala nang makaka-connect while your signal sa yung connection ay malakas naman sana. Nakikita mo dito. Magpiping ka, mabilis. And then when you start talking again, bigla ka namang bumabagal, kagaya ng kanina. It's yun nga, tama yung sinabi ni Haldi Ramos. Mukhang sabotahe. Mas madaling intindihin kung ang pagsasabotahe ay doon dito lang sa platform ng social media. Halimbawa sa FB, na-throttle ka or na-shadow ban ka. Baga nakaban ka pero hindi mo alam na nakaban ka pala. Pero itong connection mas mahirap tong gawin because it specifically targets you not only through your login in the platform social media, but as a netizen getting into the internet by a connection sa ISP or di ba? So yung ISP mo na mismo at saka yung IP mo na mismo yung tinitira. So it could be denial of attack, denial of access, mga ganyan. Ano ba yung DOS? Denial of service, denial of service attack. Parang gano'n na nangyari. Yun nga, nawala nga talaga si JP pa nag-reconnect. Nag-reconnect siguro yun kasi nawala siya dito sa platform. So, okay. So while we do that, bilisan lang natin para pagbalik ni Uncle JP, alam na natin kung nasan tayo. Halimbawa, what kind of societal system or government system na lang sabihin natin ang nag-a-allow ng ganito or nag-tolerate ng ganito, or does every system of government, okay, democratic and whatever, look at this kind of thing as a prohibited thing or parang disgusting or parang kupal na galaw. Okay, sige. Maglalagay ako dito ng slide. Ito. Natin to. Kikita nyo ba yan? Kikita ba? Hindi ba masyadong maliit? Malaki nga. Ayan. Yan. Sige. Okay. Doon tayo sa slide 1. Yan. 10 common types of government in real-world examples. Okay, mabilisan lang to. Hindi natin to babasahin lahat. So marami daw uri ng government. Yan, balik na si Sir JP. Balik natin siya sa
So yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Ayan, si Uncle JP nandiyan na siya. Yan na.
Okay. Yeah, I'm listening. Go.
Okay. Democracy. Unahin natin yung democracy. Pinaka-importante. Ano ang basic, essential characteristic niyan? Okay? Nandyan yan siya. That allows the people to choose leadership. Okay? To choose the leadership that will lead them in the government. The primary goal is to govern through their representative and prevent abuses of power. So, yung kagaya na sinabi natin, yung Pilipinas ay ganito, representative ang ating representative, Republican, and constitutional, di ba? Democratic. Okay? So, ang real world example niyan is the Philippines. Okay? The real world example, the Philippines. Yung Iceland, parang siya yung pinaka-una, I think, ang story. Oh, now I remember. Tama din yung example na to, ang sinasabi. Ang Iceland yung pinakaunang nag-observe sa dyan sa Scandinavia, Europe. Kasi while everyone else is like monarchy, socialism, katabi niyan, Russia is very close there. Siya ay nag-democratic na parang Greece noong ancient period. Okay?
Yan ba yung ano? Magtanong lang, yan ba yung the oldest existing legislature? Yung
Iceland.
meron silang parang dyan ang gagaling din yung word na speaker, di ba? Sa kanila? Yeah, okay.
Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, kasi sila yung pinakaunang nag-develop ng what modern democracy as we understand it now. Hindi pala sila nag-develop, sila ang nag-implement.
Nag-practice by
Okay, ang sumunod, ito sinasabi natin dito, ito yung ideology. Ideology to. Yung democracy is an ideology. Sumunod ngayon, communism. Okay, a centralized form of government led by a single party. So, isa lang yung party, walang ibang partido dyan. Walang kagaya sa Pilipinas, multi-party, sa US, bipartisan. Itong communism, isang partido lang, na Communist Party. Okay? And authoritarian siya, hindi siya masyadong democratic, hindi kagaya na sa atin na representative. Tapos, yan, sumunod kay Karl Marx and Engels, yung nagsumulat na kaisip ng application of communism as a form of government, even if it's strictly speaking an economic system. Okay? Yan, ang essential characteristic niyan is that everything is owned by the people and governed through a central one-party government. Okay? And nag-share ang lahat ng tao sa production at saka sa consumption. Okay? Pati yung labor, capital goods and everything. Real world example niyan, Soviet Union. Wala ng Soviet Union ngayon. And I suppose China. Cuba. But kung iisipin mo, it is strictly speaking, hindi po sila communism. Even Russia, yung USSR dati, is not yet a full-fledged communist country. Because hindi pa nila na-achieve yung talagang essential requisite na maging communist. But nahuwag na yung USSR. China is still there, but I don't think China is strictly communist. Susunod niyan ay socialism.
Which is, okay.
Ayan, socialism. Ayan. Okay, ito, ang maganda dito, basahin niyan. Socialism is the cornerstone of the Scandinavian nations. Itong Scandinavian nations, ito yung pinakamataas na antas ng
ng living standards ng
mabuting gobyerno. Ng mabuting gobyerno.
Relax sa mga tao dyan.
Yes.
For
do you know what they are? Do you know what they are? They're socialists. Socialist is like just 2 steps away from communism. And yet these countries, Norway, Finland, ano pa ba yung
Norway, Finland, Sweden, Denmark.
Itong Scandinavian countries it's they are welfare states. And the only other welfare state that is not in Scandinavia But
Or
looks like
in
a
the Middle
welfare state
East,
is the US. It's the
Brunei,
United States.
Brunei.
United States. Pero ang Brunei, socialist din. At ang United States is not a socialist country. It is a capitalist system. And completely the opposite of socialism. But take note, socialism, which shares the very, very tenets of communism here, is being subscribed to by these very, very advanced countries in terms of welfare sa mga tao. Okay? We need to remember that. Okay, sunod, oligarchy. Yung oligarchy ay ayan, collection of led by led by a group of tao na maraming pera, pamilya. Okay, a specific set of qualities such as wealth, okay, heredity, race, ganyan. And yung itong oligarchy is like monarchy. Pero ang monarchy kasi is isang characteristic lang, which is bloodline namin to. Yung ito ang apelido namin, and ang susunod na leader na ay kailangan related doon sa namatay na naunang leader. Okay, so that's pretty much the same as the monarchy. Okay, yung oligarchy. Itong aristocracy naman, ito yung mga taong it's still almost close to
An oligarchy.
Itong
But
oligarchy. Oh, yes. Ano yung aristocracy?
The main difference is that in oligarchy they are economic powers. In aristocracy they are nobility, aristocrats. So by blood to, yung sa is by money.
Ang susunod sa aristocracy ay itong monarchy. Na ganun din, by bloodline, by royalty of a single family. Na wala siyang ibang kasamang aristocrats. Siya lang. Right? And theocracy, okay? Theocracy ay central yung government ay sumusunod sa principles ng relihiyon. Okay, and the closest example is the Islamic states. Islamic states na halos iisa na lang talaga ang lalo na yung Taliban. The government is according to Sharia according to the Sharia law, which is really what is written in the holy book of the faith. Okay, so basically ganun yung na konti na lang na sumusunod nito itong oligarchy, yung theocracy, konti na lang yan sila. Monarchy halos symbolic
constitutional
na lang
constitutional monarchy.
Ang pinaka widespread, okay, ay ang democracy at saka socialism. Kung iisipin mo, democracy and socialism are one is on the at that tip or the edge of the time of the spectrum, and the other socialism is far on the other side, and the very edge of that is communism. Communism, socialism, gitna, democracy. Kapila naman yung yung fascism, yung military, yung dulo dito sa kapila. Yung democracy andon, yung socialism, yan sila from the middle to the almost to the tip of the other of the side of the spectrum, which is socialism, communism. Yun ang prevalent dito sa mundo ngayon. With a little bit of monarchy na symbolic constitutional monarchy, which is still like democracy, and theocracy, the authoritarian religion-based government. Okay? Colonialism ang susunod na colonialism is really still like any one of those now we have mentioned, but the added characteristic na they want to extend this rule to other lands which are beyond their territories. So, yan. Ito yung country ko. Diba? Socialist ako. Pero gusto ko na mangyari dito sa Korea, sa Ukraine, sa ganito, colonialism yan. You want to colonize other countries, other states. So, that's an example of that. So, anybody could be like that. China, it could be America, capitalist, colonialist. Pero, since about the First World War, pinagbawal na kasi yung conquest as a form of a valid uh, form of getting territory and therefore extending your government. Okay, so ang pumalit dyan ay imperialism, pero we will get to that later, and that's not really a form of government and a form of oppression of other people. Okay, military dictatorship. Military dictatorship is really can happen anywhere. It can be in a capitalist system na nagrevolusyon. Meanwhile, it is a transitory government at ang usually military yan. Tinatawag na revolutionary government. In almost every country, kahit regardless of the existing or erstwhile, yung kakatanggal pa lang na regime, usually military dictatorship ang papalit dyan. Problema lang, some people, some leaders of a dictatorship, the military, ay nawiwili at hindi binabalik sa demokrasya o sa ibang sistema ng gobyerno kahit na hindi na siya transition. Okay? Kagaya siguro na, well, maraming mga tao would point to what happened to Ferdinand Marcos after he lifted the martial law. Hindi pa rin bumabalik yung democracy. So that's it. Maikli lang. These are the kinds of governments that the world is observing right now. At makikita natin na kahit saan, itong tinutukoy natin na pang-aapi ng pang-throttle, pang-silence ng mga tao can happen in any of those systems.
In any of those systems.
Yes, can happen. Yes. So, we did not answer the question.
Yeah, look at that, your example right now. Your example right now says there, this is about military junta, right? And then it says there, control over the media in Thailand, no? Okay, because communication is really an essential tool of government. Okay, and it's an essential reformatory or formational na platform in every society, no? Pwede siyang pang-form, pwede siyang pang-reform, pwede siyang pang-deform. Di ba? Ng kahit anong society. Or transform. Or ano pa? Chloroform. Or pang, ano ba?
Okay.
Formalware.
So, ano, saan tayo susunod pupunta? Pinaka-prevalent,
so, ano
sabi
sila?
natin, parang ito bang nangyayari na to is it a mainstay in a characteristic of a democratic system na pwedeng abusuhin tayo ng kapwa nating private citizen? Aimikin tayo? Or is it part of a weakness of an existing system, one of which is the system that we are using here in this country? Parang is it a weakness of democracy?
Or is it a loophole, right?
Or is it a loophole
that is being kumbaga exploited. Yan. Kasi, di ba, we have seen how our legal system views and kumbaga respects that freedom of speech, and then how our society actually understands how important it is na hindi siya pwedeng pigilan. Di ba? But our law, as written, says no law shall be passed. Tama? Abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. But what if it's not a law that abridges it? Right?
But it's just an attitude or the policy of a corporation.
Of a private person. And it's not the government who is silencing anyone, but private people. So, dictatorial na, tapos fascist pa, but they're not government. So they can get away with it. Is this a loophole? What are we dealing with here? Di ba?
Yes.
Kasi kung sila ay criminal sa kanilang ginagawa or they're violating the law, they're not only doing it here. They're doing it in many other places in the world.
Tama.
And our friends from other countries, they know this. It's happening in the US. No? So, ano ba nangyayari kay Atty. John? Okay, now.
Ikaw.
Attorney, Hindi, kasi
Yes, sir.
magandang, okay. Hindi, magandang simulan natin. Ako na, simulan ko na yung ano,
Ikaw,
no?
go ahead.
Hindi,
Talk
kasi
about
yung ano nito, okay, tayo, we have agreed and we have our own conceptions of what democracy is. And, bigyan mo lang ako 1 minute. Ilipat ko lang
okay,
yung ano para may flash ko dyan, ha?
okay, okay.
Saluhin mo muna yung ating topic ngayon kasi 'di ba yung ating pinag-usapan is there's so many kinds of names we can call them but we have to be sure.
Hmm.
So, yun. Ano ba yung mga anong nare-receive mo lagi sa mga comments sa'yo about their actions? What are they? How do people view them?
Parang, parang, well, it's also an ideology, I believe. It is also an ideology na that exploits the weakness or the loopholes of our own system of government, which is democratic, which is also
Mhm.
similar to the system of America na democratic din. Pero ayun, merong mga nakikialam na mga grupo or mga individuals such that only they are increasingly being becoming a group na sila na lang ang halos pinapakinggan ng gobyerno. Kasi kung ano yung gusto nila, yun ang gagawin ng ating mga representative sa ating gobyerno. Di ba? Parang yung tinatawag natin dito sa Pilipinas ng oligarchs. Na wala naman talagang isang grupo o isang tao na tumatayo at nagsasabing oligarch ako. Nobody really identifies himself as an oligarch here
But
in
in Russia, they know who the oligarchs are.
Diba? Dito sa atin, we also know who they are, but nobody seems to point to them or themselves, identifying themselves as oligarchs. And yet,
Why is that?
And we seem to have this inkling that
There's
sila
none.
ito eh. Diba? Sila ang nakikinabang dito sa ganitong pangyayari eh.
Oh. Yan, no? Magandang entry point natin yan, no? Kasi, yung ating democratic system na nakikilala sa ngayon, meron siyang features na actually colonial, no? Wala dun sa diniscuss mo kanina yung neo-colonial system. Okay? Yung neo-colonial na sistema ay ayon sa mga tao sa daan, yung mga kaibigan mo sila NATO, no? Sa kanilang discussion group. Okay? Ito yung mga tao na Pilipino naman ang kanilang balat, pero yung kanilang trato sa ibang Pilipino ay parang sila yung mga foreign na masters and purely manipulating governance, manipulating yung law enforcement, yung manipulating yung lahat ng power structures, even courts, even to oppress yung mga kapwa nila Pilipino by mga switik na contracts, mga presyo ng mga produkto na wala silang ibang makuha dahil nakuha na nila yung kontrata dun sa from end to end, wala kayong ibang makuha except from me. Monopolistic tendencies na ganun. Now, those are not in your classifications of government. Okay? May fall into that oligarchy. But the problem here is, okay, Russia has a form of oligarchy. Their oligarchs hold positions in government like mga secretary of what, mga ganito, minister of that. Okay, para siyang aristocracy. Pero sa atin, they're hiding behind that identity na hindi man lang natin pinag-aaralan at hindi tinuturo sa eskwelahan that they exist.
Totoo yan.
Never siyang naririnig sa radyo. Para siyang tabu na topic.
That's
bakit?
right. But is it still consistent with the democracy? Itong classification natin na tinatawag natin?
Oligarchy?
Diba?
Na nagtatago?
Itong oligarchy na, kasi ang oligarchy, inaamin nila, we are oligarchs, we have the right to run this government. Dito sa Pilipinas, hindi yan ang ginagawa nila. They still allow our pretend representatives, like pretend president, like yun nga, fake president, kunyari, to be acting like he won the election and he's doing what he wants. But really, he is not. He's just dancing to the music of the oligarchs that do not identify themselves.
Yun. Yung parang ginagawa nilang puppet by submission yung presidente sa Malacanang. Okay, I have always been harping about this fact, no? If you look at Ramos, if you read on Ramos, Ramos in many of the write-ups about him, you will find there many academic papers about Ramos that he was having a big problem with the oligarchy in the Philippines. Okay? And if you want proof of that, you go review his State of the Nation address on the 3rd or 4th year of his presidency. And you will hear him verbalize that, saying na this country is, yung mga leaders nito ay nakatali sa oligarchy. Digong also says it. Pinoy does not. But he shouts at the oligarchy. Gloria also does not say it publicly, but she was at war with them. Okay? Erap was removed by them.
The oligarchy.
Okay, now, this oligarchy is actually called the elite.
Okay? The elite.
Yan. All right? They are the ones who are making the most money in this country. Okay. How much is the value of our GNP? O sige, sa mga nagtitext dyan, nagchat-chat dyan, how much is the value of our GNP in terms of Philippine peso? Do we even hear about that number?
Value of the GNP, hindi in terms of percentage.
Wag yung mga percent growth. 6% growth. Kaya dyan, magkano ang ating GNP? Magkano pinoproduce natin na goods and services sa bansang to? Magkano?
Di ba it is equal to the country's money supply? Tama.
Okay, so how much is the Philippine GNP? Meron na sumagot?
Wala pa.
In terms of inflation. In terms of amount, value.
Amount. Kung magkano, how much in pesos?
Okay, meron?
Wala.
Okay.
Hindi pa nabibilang ang lahat ng pera sa Pilipinas.
So, what is 500 billion times sabihin na natin 50. So 500 times 50, that's 2.5 trillion pesos. Tama ba? Tama ba? Ayun. Ganun na ba ang value ng GNP ng Pilipinas? Is that right?
Sabi ni Adrian, 404.24 billion
dollars. Okay? And this year, it's supposed to be about 500. Okay, so roughly $500 billion yung ating cost, yung ating production. Now, with that amount, can you imagine what percentage of that goes to just a few families? Just a few families, just a few persons, just a few corporations. Out of the ilan daw yung nakarehistro sa SEC na mga kumpanya, di ba? How much of that amount goes to that group called the elite? Okay, now the elite are not only the oligarchs. Okay, the elite is a circle of the academe, the institutions that are very influential, but raking in a lot of money, the political clans, the class of politicians, the business oligarchs, and Then you also have there the financial
Control. Dominance.
controllers, and then yung mga foreign players, pulling the strings inside our country na we do not see. Okay? Now, naalala niyo yung kanta ni Bamboo. Tingnan nga natin kung ma-flash natin, sir. Kaya mo, sir?
Pinoy ako, baka may copyright problem tayo, ha?
Hindi, ano lang, yung lyrics lang.
Yung lyrics. Lyrics.
Lyrics lang. Because it's like no, you
I
ano
will
ba
find
yung sa'yo? Sa'yo, naka-login ka, nakano ka sa browser yan, di ba? Yung nakapasok na dyan sa'yo. You get one of those browsers and then
hindi, sa akin ito, PDF to lahat.
PDF yan. Okay. Sige. Anyway, no? If you know the lyrics, that kind of angst, that kind
Tatsulok,
of tatsulok. Yung tatsulok ni Bamboo. No? Yung message nung kanta na yun. Are you still familiar with this song? Baka masyado na kami natatanda.
Actually, yung tatsulok was not Bamboos. I think it was MUFFLED who wrote that in the late 80s, early 90s. But the message is the same. That the triangle, konti lang yung tip, pero sa kanila ang karamihan ng wealth. Sa baba, malawak, marami, pero konti lang ang share doon sa wealth.
Yes, but he made a song and the lyrics is so powerful, at least for me, and I just remembered it now, so I'll just share it. Para, okay, where are you? Window. That would be here. Share. Ayan. And then dyan na siya, no? So, I will, okay, it's up. Okay, now. So, sabi dito, Totoy, bilisan mo ang takbo. Ilaga ng mga bombang nakatutok sa ulo mo. Totoy, tumalon ka, dumapa kung kailangan, at baka tamaan pa ng mga balang ligaw. So, he's talking here about a kid who's just running, no? Totoy, makinig ka, wag ka nang magpagabi. Baka mapagkamalan ka, humandusay dyan sa tabi. Totoy, alam mo ba kung ano ang punot dulo ng di matapos-tapos na kaguluhang ito? Yan, ha? So, this one asks the question. Hindi pula't dilaw tunay na magkalaban. Ang kulay at tatak ay di siyang dahilan. Hanggat marami ang lugmok sa kahirapan at ang hustisya ay para lang sa mayaman. Habag may tatsulok at sila ang nasa tuktok, di matatapos itong gulo. Kapag yan, hindi yan habag. Kapag may tatsulok, no? Iligtas ang hininga ng kairaming mga tao. At ang dating munting bukid ngayon sementeryo. Totoy, kumilos ka, baliktarin ang tatsulok. Tulad ng dukha na ilagay mo sa tuktok. Hindi pula't dilaw ang tunay na magkailaban. Asan yan? Ang kulay at tatak ay di siyang dahilan. Hanggat marami ang lugmok sa kahirapan at ang hustisya para lang sa mayaman, habang may tatsulok at sila ang nasa tuktok, di matatapos itong gulo. Okay. Ano yung tatsulok na sinasabi ni Bamboo dyan, no? So, Bamboo is simply, ano to tanggalin dyan? Remove, no? From script.
Tanggalin mo remove. Trivia lang saglit. That song, the lyrics of that song was originally written and composed by the MUZZLED. Miyembro dyan si Cabangon, si Noel Cabangon.
Yeah, and we give them proper credit, no, for the lyrics. We will not play the song para hindi tayo ma-copyright the issue. But
si Bamboo ang nagpasikat yan.
Yes, if you haven't heard that song, it's a very representative of our subject tonight. Okay? Because tayo na nasa laylayan, kaka ni Lenny, di ba? Tayong mga nasa laylayan, yung mga hindi napapansin, yung mga hindi nila pinapansin at hindi nagkakaroon ng tsansang umangat, na yung mga anak natin ay lalo lang, alam mo yun, may expect mo that their lives will just be more like us or worse. Okay? Because none of them are born like the children of this elite who are privileged enough to choose what they'd like to be among the
Right.
many choices that will be laid down before them as they grow up, even if gaano sila kabobo or kababa yung grado, kung balakbol sa klase o kawalang kwentang personalidad,
Mm.
but they will be given opportunities in a silver platter just because of their name. Okay?
Mm.
Now, in perspective of the Philippine elite and the oligarchs' dream society is to convert the social classes into something like an Indian caste system. Kaya nga, as I was saying, no, as I have always been saying, we are trained to be slaves by our educational system. Or, and we're trained not to question these things. And when we do, like right now, we must be taken out of the game. We must not be given any chance. Why? Okay, why? Because to us, naintindihan natin yung kanta ni Babu. Tama? Sino sa inyo doon ang hindi nakaka-relate? Kanta ni
Sosyalismo
Bambu.
yan, sosyalismo.
No, hindi lang yung sosyalismo. It's the plight of
Yeah, of the poor people. Socialism
Of
yung
those-
parang paninindigan ito na let's socialize well.
but even a
Wag yung-
democratic
Yeah,
but
yeah.
even a democratic aspiration is justified by this song, no?
Yes. Yes.
Because democracy is not supposed to allow that kind of situation to happen. That there are people na hindi mo matinag, causing all of the controversies, no? Sabi niya, hindi dilaw at pula ang naglalaban. Wala pang nun. Wala pang wala pang dilawan at that time. Okay? I don't know kung bakit tumugma naman yung kanyang mga kulay. Meron na ba?
Ang lyrics nito was written right after during the martial law. During the martial law.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yan.
okay. So, yung sinasabi nila dito, this is not a battle of the people. Hindi tayo dapat nakikipaglaban dyan sa mga dilawan na yan. At hindi rin dapat tayo ni pinaglalabanan. Nagets nyo? Yung mga dilawan, no? Meron na po, mga dilawan, no? Yan. We call them dilawan, they call us, what? What do they call us?
Trolls. DDS trolls.
DDS trolls, mga stupid, whatever.
But
now,
later on, we will explain kung bakit itong nangyayari ngayon has anything to do with the elite, with the oligarchs.
Okay. But as I was saying, all of us who relate to this, all of us who support candidates or leaders or politicians who fight against this with us, or at least man lang, present themselves to fight with us. Diba? All of us know that we are fighting for our democratic rights. Tama?
Yes.
Tama ba ako doon? We are fighting for our democratic rights. We are hopeful that our democratic system will actually bring us to that situation where there will be some kind of a change. There will be a kind of an alleviation from this very anomalous situation where there are people who are not supposed to be gods but are being worshipped. Okay? So we just believe in the democratic setup. But to them, to the elite, they have given us a name. And this name we must know. Okay? Because by the name that they have given us, we will have an indication of what they are and who they are.
And how to fight them.
To fight them. Because they named us. Okay?
Great.
Ressa herself named us. Okay? Ressa herself named her enemy. And their enemy is a populist leader.
Oh,
And
populism.
okay, so their enemy is populism, and we who support these so-called populist leaders are what they call the machinery of this populist leader, or we are now caught in that called that thing they call us as populism. Okay, make sure that you do not use this populism or a populist is a derogatory word. Okay? Yan ano yan? This is an insulto yan.
It
It's
is
an
not.
insult. It is not a name like a democracy. Okay?
Mm,
It is even better to call yourself a communist
mm.
than to be a proud populist. Okay?
Populist pala tayo. Okay, okay, okay.
So
Hindi
they
tayo
have,
democratic.
and where did I find that? From Reza's own interviews. And she
Aha!
says this over and over and over again na ito yung kanyang kalaban. And then you will now tie up with all of the narrative of everyone supporting her from outside. And then you will see who they are. Okay, what they have
They,
in common,
they
all of
sound
them.
like they sound like populist. Ano ba sila? Yun nga, elitista, di ba?
Okay.
Pero meron
So,
bang technical term dyan under the kinds of democracy? Because
okay, ganito yan. A
oh,
populist according to to this definition, no, in political science, populist or populism. The populist refers to the leader, and populism refers to the movement supporting that leader. They are usually kumbaga, differentiated from other movements in the sense that their entire kumbaga yung reason
on the
for
track.
existence, okay, the reason for existence is they want to go against this elite that is identified, and we are
that.
identified, we are that, no, we are really very vocal against the oligarchs. We want to break down itong mga corrupt systems na naka-embed sa ating gobyerno, na alam mo yun, si Duterte set out to destroy, but 6 years is not enough to destroy 100 years worth of systems in place in a democratic government. Diba?
What Maria Ressa terms as a democracy is really not democracy. Because democracy is the entire people. But dito sa Ressa, pag sinasabi niyang we want democracy, democracy is dead, it's really the elite. It's really
the democracy that supports the elite. Okay? That is what they mean when they say democracy is dead or democracy is about to die, democracy is in peril. And that is going to explain now why they would say that yung ating, yung binasa natin, na the popularity of government going up is a danger because that government that was becoming popular was a populist government to their standard. Okay?
And to them, it's evil. Populism is evil.
And they did not do anything about us during the term of Duterte, and they must have seen that was their faux pas, that now we have another populist president in their categorization of Bongbong Marcos. That's why, as early as now, they're shutting us down.
At ganun pa rin yung attitude nila, same as Duterte, kahit na kauupo pa lang ni President Bongbong Marcos, ay sinisisi na nila kagad for Maria Ressa's conviction. Well, because of them, it is just one government. From Duterte to Marcos, it's the same government, the populist government. As you say,
the grandfather of all political science is a Machiavelli, di ba? The ends justify the means. So as long as after this one, they will have no more problem with people like us, people like everyone in the blogging community who is destroying their mind control over the public. So as early as now, they're really slowly trying to take us down. And we must fight back. Yun yung problema natin. Okay.
Ang ibig sabihin, ang isang democratic government can be hijacked by a group uh, who who are the elite who claim to who claim that everyone else in that democratic government
Oh.
is a float, which is because they are populist. They did not think for themselves. They just love this guy because he's popular and because everybody just loves him.
No,
Everybody else followed suit.
no, okay.
Diba?
This guy that becomes popular is not just because okay, the guy who gets elected is not populist because he is popular,
Mm.
okay? But because he represents a message, he represents a political campaign, a political movement that
Against the elite.
sets out to destroy the elite or alam mo yun,
Yes.
alleviate the poor from their poverty situation.
Mm.
Uh, uh, 'Di ba?
But
Yun
why is
yung
that wrong? Why is that wrong?
okay, ang ano kasi nila is it's always going to lead to bloodshed. Hindi siya maganda daw yung outcome niyan as far as their learnings in history is concerned. All of these populist governments ended up destroying their country's economies and then leading their people to war. But
Yes,
Duterte
but
didn't do that.
well, Duterte did do that. But I think that who will achieve that, who will eventually get to do that, what he just said, destroy this government, lead us to a civil war, is basically the elite that are trying to have a hegemony in this country.
Mm,
Because when they are using something or some tools to achieve this hegemony, na
mm,
sila na lang yung naririnig, yung mga ignorante sa Pilipinas, pag na, na touch nila, would have no other choice because they would know no other information about
correct,
anything in this country. All they will
correct.
see and hear and read is the message of the elite. And that is what
Because,
hegemony is about. Because
yes,
they killed
kasi,
everyone else. They
yeah,
silenced
and
everyone else.
they want to go back to the situation where only mainstream media is a source of information. Because at that
Media.
time, yeah, at the time, like in the time that we grew up in, okay, there are a
Mm,
lot of kids here, okay? Kayo mga bata, you should listen to this, ah. Ako, when I grew up in high school, I was able to get radio signal from Cebu. Nasa Mindanao ko, ha? Yun lang yung
mm,
napapakinggan namin galing Cebu. Maswerte kami nung kalaunan kasi may nagkaroon ng isang malakas na FM station galing Cotabato, yung DXOL, no, ng Catholic
mm,
Media Network ng Cotabato, yung mga ano doon, mga pare, and it had
mm,
good music. But for news, I listened to DYRC. The newspaper was one day late. There was no TV, no signal until I was in high school. No internet, meron lang Betamax. O, alam niyo yung kanta nun? Wala kaming radyo, wala kaming cellphone, wala kaming DVD. Meron lang Betamax. Okay, now,
Max.
during those times, yung pwede mo lang talagang mapagkuhanan ng impormasyon with books or uh, kung meron ka yung mga magazines na ano na darating yung mga Mr. and Miss, mga ganun, di
Mm.
ba? Or comics or di ba?
Asia Week, yung
You have no other source of information.
quarterly yata yan siya, di ba? Hindi
They
yun
want
siya
to go back. They want
to
to go
that.
back to those days. And
Mm.
okay. Sabi niya in her own words, there was a time when we were the gatekeepers.
There
We
you
were the
go.
gatekeepers.
There
Okay?
you go.
Sige, hanapin ko lang yung exact interview,
Gusto niya
okay?
bumalik doon. Gusto niya bumalik
Yeah.
doon.
Sige. Kausapin mo muna sila. Attorney. Hanapin ko lang
Okay.
yung mismong ano.
When we said hegemony is yun, yung control over the information that the people in a great area would know. So that is a very big problem with the elite right now. No, that's not a problem with them. That is their problem. Bakit? Because the internet has made it so accessible for us the world of information. That now we can actually know things without having to wait for the newspaper or Newsweek or Time Magazine na dumadating hindi araw-araw. I think it's every other week or it's every week or every month. Ngayon, the internet makes those things, those information very accessible and quickly such that nagkakaroon ngayon ng pag-question sa mga paniniwala at mga sistema ng mga tao na parang mali ito kasi hindi naman to demokrasya. Nabasa ko yung demokrasya na sinabi niya ganito ganyan, hindi naman to ganito. So they want to return to that time na hawak nila ang impormasyon. Bakit nila gustong gawin yan? Bakit mo gustong gawin na ikaw yung gatekeeper of whatever, of information? Why do you want to have a gatekeeper in the first place?
Okay, you explain their ideology.
Because it is a hegemony. Hegemony, yung kontrolado natin ang alam ng tao para kung anong gusto nating gawin sa sistema ng bansa na to, ay hindi nila questionin dahil there is no other way that is good for them that they know. Because all they would know is what we tell them. Okay? Hegemony yan. That is a tool. That is a tool largely used by the elite, because they are the rich ones. They control the businesses in the country, which one or two of them would be mass media, and the other is telecommunication. So it's all information, flow of information, availing of information, providing of information, negosyo ng mga elite yan.
Oh, but
Diba,
okay,
sir?
sige, the elite. Okay, so the elite. What is this? Ideology now that is kumbaga looking down at us as the populists and mga kampon ng popularismo. Okay? Yun yung mga natin, kategorya sa ano ba ang Tagalog ng popularism? Popularism.
Ang populist is populismo. We listen to the population and not just a group of people. That is, we listen to the greater number of people, not the elite.
But isipin mo, wala nga siyang word sa Tagalog, di ba?
At anong masama sa kanya? Masama ba yung ganon?
Okay. Masama yung terminolohiya. The terminology itself is bad because when you call someone a populist, that is actually tantamount to your
fascist thing.
Parang ginagano mo, binabastos mo na yan. And pag tinawag mo yung isang grupo na you are pursuing populism, okay? Inuinsulto mo na yung mga tao niyan. Worse than saying that they are communist pigs, di ba?
Kasi ang populism is wala nang sistema, mob na, democracy. That is how they call it, populism.
No, not really, not really. Okay, populism to them. Okay, it's dangerous, okay? The danger of populism for them is this, na parang a leader who is a populist, makes use of that narrative, makes use of his communication tools, makes use of his networking to make him look like a hero. And as he looks like a hero na hindi na matinag ng kalaban, sinasakyan niya yung fears and yung mga aspirations ng mga tao na hindi naman niya pala talaga tutulungan. Yun yung kanilang contention. And bakit kaya to magkaiba yung result ng Google dito tsaka Google dyan? Why? Okay? So, saan na ba siya ni Ahmed? Iniwanan ba ako? Namatay yung connection niya. And right. Okay, so anyway. The populism that you're talking about has two kinds. There's a right-wing populism and there's a left-wing populism. But in both cases, it's both populism dahil the leader rises with the machinery, uh, building up an image for him like a hero, like an idol, like what Duterte really was. Okay, to them that is the exact that is the prime example of populism. You look it up, you will see a lot of pictures of what populism is, how populism is designed, is defined. You will see Duterte and Trump there
Yes, exactly. Si
as
Trump
the
ang numero
modern
unong populist.
as the modern symbolifications of the term.
Yung namatay
Okay,
na si Abe, populist din tawag nila doon.
populist din ba?
Yung Japanese guy na in-assassinate.
And then the
Populist din ang
evil
tawag nila doon.
of populism for them, the evil of populism is born out of that, alam mo yun, yung parang will, ano mo yun, yung kanilang mandate na sundin lang yung gusto ng majority, even at the expense, to that extent, even at the expense of the minority. The minority. So, ang mga example nila sa ngayon is Bolsonaro, who unfortunately is one of the very first places that will be visited by the president. And they're also Bolsonaro, Brazil. And the president is, may mga state engagements na yung Brazil and the Philippines. Alam mo yun, timing lang talaga. And they will pounce on this. Because they believe that this Bongbong is also a populist president. Okay. Okay. Sige, ikaw muna saglit, sir.
Okay. Kahit saan ka pumunta, ang itatawag ng mga socialist at saka mga left-leaning Democrats sa mga elite ay mga neoliberal. At ang tawag naman ng mga elite sa mga ganyan din, yung ayaw nila, mga populist, ay mga neoliberal din. So itong neoliberalism actually is just a term that it's not even an ideology, it's an insult. Neoliberalism is the catch-all phrase for what is bad in any side of the spectrum of any government. So kung halimbawa sa Pilipinas, na democratic tayo, kung yung mga ultra-liberal Democrats, tawag nila sa mga elite ay elite nga. Yan sila, neoliberal din ang tatawag nila sa elite. At ang elite naman ay neoliberal din ang tatawag nila doon sa mga left-leaning na Democrats sa bansa. Everyone is neoliberal.
And then it is not a right term. Tama? So I think we could okay, you should just now start discussing the pluralist agenda.
Okay. Ano yung pluralism? Okay, kanina nabanggit natin yung 10 uri, most common forms of government. And then democracy is the leading kind of government. But under democracy, there are still types of democracy depending on how the system of democracy is being implemented in the government. And also it has something to do with how big the country is. Okay, imagine democracy means the rule of the people, but it can also mean and represented by their elected lawmakers, diba? So there's a democratic representative, and there are also Democrats that are ruled by a monarch, constitutional monarchy. Democracy pa rin yan. So in under the heading of democracy, maraming uri pa rin, and one of those is the pluralist, and the other is the participatory. We will discuss that in this next slides.
Ito. Ilagay mo.
Let's go to one. Okay, yan. Models of democracy. Yan siya. Under democracy, meron tayong tinatawag na participatory. Well, first, hindi ito dinidiscuss as one of the types. But first is the direct democracy. So in direct democracy, it's the people really that make the laws, decide the policy, and implement it. There's no government, sila yan. So it's almost akin to, it's not even communism, because communism has a central single-party government. Itong direct democracy is anarchy. Anarchy not in the negative sense as the UK would call it, but anarchy in the most godly sense of communism. Wala na gobyerno kasi hindi na kailangan ng gobyerno. Everyone is responsible for himself and his neighbor. So wala na gobyerno. Sundin lang natin ang pagiging mabuti ng mga tao, but of course that doesn't happen because human beings are selfish and they will kill each other if you ever give them a chance. So hindi pwedeng mangyari yung direct democracy, or kung i-term under socialism is the perfect communism. So those are impossible to happen. So anong susunod? Yun na lang, participatory democracy. Yung participatory democracy is this model of democracy in which citizens have the power to decide directly on policy, and politicians are responsible for implementing those policy decisions. Okay? That sounds like us, di ba? Na meron tayong ini-elect na mga officials and they implement what we want, which is the laws that they make. Kasi ang presumption is all of these representatives that we elect, the senators and the congressmen, they are supposed to have a consultation with the constituents before they make laws, because they're supposed to come up with laws that are the demands of the people. And that is what happens in a participatory form of democracy. And that's where we are. Philippines. Okay, another type of democracy is the pluralist democracy. Okay, itong pluralist democracy is instead of individuals as in participatory democracy, ang nag-i-influence ng policy making at saka implementation, it's groups of people. Now, this system allows for the existence of the elite. The group of people who have control over the large part of the economy, large part of the information, and large part of the education. Okay? So, this is the system that allows for the existence of the elite. Yung pluralist democracy na yan. And the pluralist democracy does not like populism or participatory democracy. Ayaw nila yan. Kasi
they really have to fight it. They declare war with it.
Yes. So even within democracy, there are people who think that a certain type of democracy is better than the other. And definitely, the more people involved in democracy, the wronger it becomes. Okay, the wronger it becomes. And that is the pluralist democracy. Dito sa Pilipinas, we are supposed to be participatory democracy because we elect our congressmen. But in reality, because there's a certain group that influences and interferes in the participation of every person in this country, they want us to become a pluralist democracy. A pluralist democracy like the US. The US is a pluralist democracy. Kasi isipin mo, the US allows for a participatory democracy kind of election where the people, all of them will vote for the president. And yet, the US Constitution also allows for the Electoral College. Yung Electoral College is the elite. It's the electoral elite in the US, where sometimes it can even defeat the majority vote of the people, of the citizens. Pag binoto yan ng people, ng individuals at large, pwede yung baliktarin kapag iba ang binoto ng Electoral College. That is a kind of elitism. Elite din sila. Yung Electoral College, they are the elite. And the US allows that. And these people in this country, the Philippines, who want the elite to dominate would want a pluralist democracy in this country so that they will be legitimized in their existence here.
Okay.
Okay?
In the pluralist world kasi, it's a world of respect. It's a world of high morality, humility, silence, the
Yan
sound of
yun.
silence.
Okay, I'm done with that.
Walang maaring kumontra, walang kukontra, walang bastusan. Huy, bastusan. Ano naman ganun
Ang,
yun?
tanggalin ko na to, ha? Yun ang importante. Yun lang ang importante doon. They want us
Okay.
to be a pluralist. They hate the populist. Okay? I will remove that now.
Okay. So let me show you what kind of pluralist itong si Maria Ressa. Okay. Para magkaliwanagan tayo kung ano tong kalaban natin. Hindi komunista tong kalaban natin eh.
Hindi rin kapitalista yan.
Not. Okay? Sabi niya, ang ginagawa daw niya is a communities of action in a country where she says the processes of governance are slow. Wow. Andun kayo to sa barangay niya, ninyo, Adrian, taga saan ka nga ba? Di ba Ilonggo ka, Adrian? Adrian, taga Ilonggo ka ba? Taan ba to si Adrian?
Saya yata si Adrian eh.
Kaya nga, alam ko taga si Visayas to eh. No? Or baka...
Davao.
Whatever, no? So communities in action where process of governance are slow. Okay, this part, wag mo muna natin yung anuhin. Okay, this, tingnan mo yung publish ito, it's Reuters Institute and Oxford University. Oxford. Kaya wag nga muna yan siya kasi dati pa niya yan, tungkol pa niya sa buhay niya noon, and then ngayon. So, you've seen up close the Philippines in your own work, both the power and potential of these platforms, but also the risk in them. If you could just if you could ask just one big thing of platform companies and actually have them do it, what would it be? What would you ask them do? Okay? Sabi niya, okay, wait. Meron palang maganda dito. Sabi dito. Actually, if you go back, 2014 was really when disinformation in the Ukraine. I didn't know how social media could be used for evil when we started. Seeing it now, I realized that this technology, the people who built it, need to put in the safeguards, okay? See, when I talk to Facebook or Twitter or Google, they think that they're separate from reality. They think that the code is something that an engineer can think through, but in reality, it's directly connected to human behavior. This is Maria Rosset talking, Technology is an enabler of authoritarian populist governments. Because these leaders were able to use the same tools of empowerment to actually clamp down on democracy. That's where the engineers are just going to have to get smarter. Okay, you see? You see, people? She doesn't want to tell this to us, but she's telling it to the goddamn Oxford people and Reuters in UK.
Malamang kasi mga yun sila.
Hindi niya to sinasabi dito sa Pilipinas. Akala niyo siguro walang magbabasa nito dito, ha? The Philippines is the third most disaster-prone country in the world. We get an average of 20 typhoons every year. In 2013, we began working with the community and with the government to come up with a set of hashtags that we've standardized. Then we built a platform where the government can see on the map who needs help, who needs rescue, who has information. Oh, really? Ginawa niyo to for the government? It's real time. It's transparent to everyone. That to me is still the closest to what I feel like we can do. We did help save lives during that time period. The reason why the community comes here is not just because of the platform, which is transparent to everyone, but also because they get information they can trust. Okay? Information they can trust.
Setting up the stage.
That's 3 years. That's 3 years before the hell broke loose with Brexit. Okay, Brexit is now Boris Johnson. The election of Rodrigo Duterte. Okay, with disinformation. Okay, binasa na natin yan. Old power needs to connect with this new power.
Juicy.
Namnamin mga people, namnamin ha, namnamin. Old
Juicy
power
yan, juicy.
needs to connect with this new power that is
And who?
algorithmically based. As journalists, we need to stop looking at it as content and look at this network of disinformation. We are the network of disinformation. Okay? Until this happens, it's going to be chaotic. Okay, you see?
Yes.
You see the frame of mind? You see the mind? The mind until
Yan
this
yan.
happens, it's going to be chaotic. Okay, wait, what does you want?
Kapag ang mga tao ay pinapakinggan, chaos yan para sa kanya.
These companies have to mirror. Okay, pag sinabi niyang these companies, these are the platforms of social communication. These companies have to mirror the power structures of the real world. Oh, may gobyerno, may police. Naalala mo na sinasabi niya, but the COMELEC and the watchdogs do not have this capacity, capability. There should be a new watchdog.
Dapat ng Rappler ang gagawa niyan.
I don't understand why there's such an aversion to that. Okay. I don't understand. She doesn't understand why there's an aversion to platforms mirroring the power structures of the world.
Alam mo kasi kung bakit, sir?
Kasi
hindi niya naiintindihan na alam natin ang ginagawa niya. It's not mirroring social media to the structures of the real world. Ang gusto niya in reality is to set up the platform social media. And set up the platform of social media to follow an elitist system.
Kaya nga.
Yan. And apply that in the real world. Baliktad ang gusto niyang gawin.
Hindi lang, maski lang yung pagpasok pa lang dito. Yung pa lang na na kumbaga kung sa labas dati meron lang tayong media na source of information, dapat dito rin sa social media ganun din. Wala yang silang mga sausaw dyan.
Meron ding
okay.
Gatekeepers.
Okay. Kaya nga, the idea for the platforms, the social media platforms, is that they give everyone equal voice. This is the evil for her.
Wrong yun, wrong.
Okay, people, listen.
Evil.
For her, this is evil. The idea for the platforms, the social media platforms, that they give everyone an equal voice. But you know what? They're choosing who gets the voice. Oh, they didn't realize what they were doing. That they were going to be gained by allowing that they're disrupting the power structures in the real world.
Ano sinasabi niya?
That we go around the algorithms, that we are going to share, like, and then we will actually end up having more audience than them. No, more audience than them.
Well, that's not what she's saying directly.
No, this is what she...
Ang sinasabi niya, pare, ang sinasabi niya, if you give people freedom, if you give them voice, it will destroy democracy. You have to limit freedom to a group of people who can command what is good.
Correct. This is what she says here. That is what she says here. They're choosing who gets the voice. Itong day niya dito, hindi na to si media platform. But what she means here na they are the disinformers. Okay, the inherent bias of this platform, of this algorithm right now is popularity. Bias daw yung popularity. So it's not a far-fetched assumption that populist governments all over the world are coming to power because that's what engineers coded.
So ngayon, ang sinasabi ni Maria Ressa is that populism as a form of democracy is
going to breathe through this social system, social media.
Of social media evil.
Social media will morph into this kind of.
So ang parang nangyayari dyan, sir, is populism enables the social media weakness, which to her is a weakness, but it's actually giving voice to everyone. But para sa kanya, mali yan, because that will further the objectives of populism. So parang circular yan. Populism enables social media. The social media gives more power to populism. To the
Let's now
defeat
talk.
of the elite.
Let's not talk about what she proposed. These companies have to understand real world geopolitical balance and somehow be able to reflect that in how they show the news. Okay? Ito yung sinasabi natin na ito yung twist, no? Media slanting, how they reflect that in the news. Okay, the biggest change that happens is that we used to be the gatekeepers. Journalists were trained to make decisions about who was right and who was wrong. Okay? Again,
Sila ang
journalists were
gumagawa ng desisyon na yan.
trained to make decisions about who was right and who was wrong in every issue that we face. Now you have here your MSM telling you that we did this for you before you had your social media. We chose what you can listen to, and we chose who was right or who was wrong. Who gets the megaphone and who doesn't, right? We made those calls and we were imbued with a sense of mission.
Megalomania to, pare.
All of a sudden, okay, now here's the risk. Really, listen. All of a sudden, social media platforms have been given that power. I think that began in 2015 when they took all the news groups into instant articles. They didn't realize that they would become the world's largest distributor of news. The minute they did that without the safeguards that we put in, okay, now she put in some safeguards, the journalists put in, then I think that's what turned the power balance, what shifted the power balance. You can see it in the studies, and it began as early as November 2017. I don't know what happened in November 2017.
Sinasite
So
din
those
niya,
am-
sarili niya. Rappler din ang sinasite niya dyan.
Okay, so those American tech companies have to come out of the ivory towers and realize that the algorithms unleashed into the global south are killing people. Killing people. When I heard Mark Zuckerberg in Congress say, it may take us 5 years, all I thought was, I don't have 5 years. We don't have 5 years, so we need action. I hope quickly. So, did you like that reading 101 for you, my dear pupils? Wala lang talaga tayong audio, no? Ganito sana talaga. May audio tayo. No? Yung naririnig ko mo, yes po. Okay. So this is now the mind of Maria Reza. And the mind of Maria Reza is very dangerous to us because, again, Facebook came into contract with IFCN, and IFCN has tapped Maria Reza and verifies to be the fact checkers of Facebook here in the country. Okay? And whatever they say is going to be
What is right or wrong?
It's going to be what journalists were trained to make decisions about who was right or who was wrong.
Bullshit.
Okay? Did you like that? Do you want to see how this
Yan
journalist...
si Maria Reza.
Okay, do you want to see how she makes right or wrong? Okay. Let me walk you through. Sige ha. Sige, let me just show you. Kasi di ba last time I was saying na I'm so excited to apply this
Rules. These rules.
These rules niya, yung kanyang methodology on ano ba to? Dismiss. Okay. Saan ba?
Ayan, ipakita mo yung graphic na yan.
No. Pupuntahan ko yung aking yung aking page na isa.
Kaya nga, pakita mo yung graphic, yung yung insights.
And then not that. I just want to... Saan ba yung mga post nito? Ito, publish. Okay. Kasi yung kanina, I just want to show kung gaano ka tindi itong gaano katindi yung talino ng Rappler when they say they get to choose who is right or wrong, okay? Let me see. Ano ba ito ilalabas ko yung graphics? Edit ko ba? O ito muna.
Yan, ilabas mo.
There.
Yan.
No? Paano na magamit natin?
Video yan?
Hindi. Graphics lang. Yan. Okay.
Yan.
I believe most of you didn't even listen to this, no? If you like that takedown natin ng Manila, the Philippine Star, ng Philstar. Okay, what is this? Now, this was done by Rappler. So ako, when I was scanning through their fact checks, ang dami pala nila pina-fact check ng mga herbal medicines, mga claim, mga whatever, yung mga binibenta dyan sa internet. Tapos pinagtitira nila.
Again, we said, fact checking is not inherently wrong.
Well, I do not know if they are really fact-checking it correctly din, ha? Kasi ganito yan. They may be killing a traditional Filipino medicine or alam mo yun?
Yes.
Like budding Filipino discovery in science. They're just killing it just for the sake of fact-checking, di ba? Okay. So ang sabi nila dito sa kanilang fact-check na to, in July 6, 2022, that Amy Marcos, okay, it's a missing context sound that Amy Marcos authored the Expanded Solo Parents Welfare Act. I've never posted anything like this where I put in 6 pictures. So I do not know if that was the reason why people did not read this or what. Or talagang ayaw nila itong ipabasa. Okay? Because I didn't put it in the text. I put it in the pictures. What I wanted to say, I put it in the pictures. Okay?
Siguro nga.
So this is their title and this is what they say. Ha? Pwede ko ba itong hindi palabasin itong ano na to? Yan. Okay. They say here, Republic Act RA 11861 or the Expanded Solo Parents Welfare Act is principally authored by Senator Risa Ontiveros. So the question here, if you want to know if this fact check is this Marcos, okay? Marcos, what I mean by Marcos there is Marcos fact check accusation. Tingnan niyo yung top left corner. Si Rappler pala meron siyang category called Marcos fact checks. Can you imagine that? Is this Marcos fact checks accusation by Rappler accurate? Because the implications are if yes, Amy is a credit grabber. If no, Rappler is bala kayo mag-isip. Now, where did I get that credit grabber? That credit grabber, if you zoom into that, into this text here, it's here. So they published it. Itong mga comments dito, it was an accusation of Amy being a credit grabber. Okay? So if it is true that Marcos actually, if this accusation is really true, then Amy Marcos is a credit grabber. If no, hindi. Now first, okay, wait, before I go there. RA 11861, okay? Ito yung paninindigan ko na dito. I will post this already. Is not principally authored by Ontiveros as they claim. And why? You will get to know why. Next. Magkasunod lang to, wala akong pinutol sa kanila sinasabi. Okay, sorry. Dapat pala ilabas ko. Now, it says here, at a glance, the claim, Senator Amy Marcos authored Republic Act RA 11861 or the Expanded Solo Parents Welfare Act. So what I tried to prove here is on this side, the other side. And I'm saying that for that, I only need to prove, or we only need to see that Amy Marcos is in fact an author of RA 11861. Then that claim would be already dispelled, right? But they say in their rating that it is missing context. Rappler agrees with the missing context. Rating by interaction. Okay, there is an interaction rating originally, and it's part of this one also. Used for the fact check regarding this claim. Okay, now for me, that this is proof that there is actually, I don't know, not that is the proof, but what we need to prove is that there is actually no missing content. And then dito, dalawang points kasi ito, that Marcos is not the sole author of the expanded Solo Parents Welfare Act. Now, you know pala na she's not the sole author, so you know that she is actually an author. And it was principally authored by Risa Ontiveros, who was co-authored by 6 other senators, including Senator Marcos. Now, that is wrong because Ontiveros is not the principal author of the Senate Bill number 1411, which is what became RA 11861. Why we fact check this one? Senator Marcos post misleads netizens into thinking that she alone championed RA 11861 when there were 5 other co-authors along with the principal author. Now, that this fact check is plain farce and baseless, at best a fact slip. How can I say that? Here you will see. Sabi nila on Wednesday, dito, Rappler side on the complete details. Oh, they say this is the complete details Wala naman sila sinasabi na mayroon pang iba. On Wednesday, June 29, Senator Marcos posted on Facebook and credited herself as the author of Republic Act RA 11861, or the Expanded Solo Parents Act, which lapsed into law last June 4. So sabi ko dito, my comment there is, it's true based on screenshots Rappler includes in their fact check. Marcos apparently made such a post, but ito yung sabi. Ito na mga mamshis and papsis. Pinaglaban ko hanggang sa huling sandali at ngayon ay ganap ng batas. Bilang isang solo parent, pamilyar na ang inyong lingkod sa mga pagsubok ng ating kinakaharap at pagpapalaki ng ating mga anak, Marcos wrote. Okay, so true. The statement apparently, but Marcos does not state, 1, the word author, or 2, that she is the sole author. She did not even mention the name of the law. From that, sabi nila, this is the complete statement. Now, they translate it into English and they say, this is it. Momshies and daddies. I fought tooth and nail for this. And now, it has finally lapsed into law. As a solo parent, I am familiar with the challenges that we face when we raise our children. It's a wrong translation at that first. Fought tooth and nail does not coincide with pinaglaban hanggang huli ng sandali. I fought till the end, di ba? That would be the easiest translation for that. But even after translation, she does not say that she's the author. So where is Rappler's issue? If this is the complete details, as they say. Now, ito yung kasunod din yan. RA 11861, as they say, which aims to appropriate funds for solo parents and their children, was principally authored by Senator Risa Ontiveros. First, she filed the Expanded Solo Parents Welfare Act, or Senate Bill 1936, on August 15, 2018. There you see. When did the 18th Congress start? 2019. RA 11861 amends RA 8972, and the purpose is to grant additional benefits to solo parents. Grant additional parents, not to appropriate funds for solo parents. Magkaiba po yun. Pag sinabi mo ang batas aims to appropriate funds, nagpapagawa ka ng building yan. Mamimigay ka ng pera niyan. Now, this is such a big false representation of the law. Okay, now this is not an appropriation of funds. Rappler is now making up things here. And now she says there, RA 11861 was passed in the 18th Congress, and Hontiveros was, actually, she did not file 1936 in the 18th Congress. She filed Senate Bill number 164. But she was not first because Gordon filed an earlier bill for this particular law on that subject. When did she file the 1936? In the 17th Congress. So kayo na nakakaalam ng konti sa procedures dyan sa Senado at sa Kongreso, alam nyo naman na yung mga bill na hindi naipasa dun sa naunang Kongreso, pagpalit niya, ngayon magsusona, lahat ng luma doon, hindi na yung pag-uusapan. I-refile mo yun. And it starts new. Okay? Ontiveros files, Ontiveros filed Rappler's acclaimed SB 1936 in the 17th Congress. But she was not first again. She was in fact the last to file. Among the 6 bills filed on this subject, Ligarda was first, nandun pa si Jinggoy sa si Chisi Socordero sa gitna, si Bam Aquino, Ligarda filed again, and then Tito Soto also filed. And Ontiveros is the principal. Come on, what is the principal author in the Senate? Mga kids, okay. Sabi ng Rappler, Senator Marcos, along with Senator Miguel Zubiri, former Senate President Soto, Tito Soto, blah, 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 co-authored Senate Bill number 1. That's true. Number 1411, or the expanded bill. Ontiveros was the primary sponsor of the Senate bill. That is not true. Why? The concept of principal author is only recognized in the House of Representatives. They have that in their rules. The House of Representatives, Section 43, 46, 62, meron silang provision on a person becoming a principal author. In the Senate rules, there is none. In fact, if they will just search, in 2010, ABS-CBN has a story on that senators are doing away with that principal author thing. Kasi there are only 24, ba't pa kayo maglalamangan? But if you will read that also, ang sinasabi dun that the principle should be, if you want to be really called the principal author, your contribution to that law must be so. Kung sino yung may pinakamalaking contribution, hindi yung pinakauna. Ang una, hindi siya yung pinakauna. The Senate rules of 2020 and the 1995 rules, kahit na nung luma, makes no mention of any principal author in the rules. What it mentions is a consolidated bill, and what happened? Senate Bill 1141 was a consolidated bill. And the chairman of the committee that consolidated the bill was Ontiveros. Being that chairman, you do not become the principal author when your committee submits it. So, Senate Rule number names every senator who filed the original bill as authors. They are all authors. And the chair of the committee endorsing it only signs. Okay? Now, it so happened that she was also an author. That's why she's just one of the authors. Not the principal author.
Ergo.
Interaction. Okay. Interaction. Lists here all the bills that were filed. They know. And then, this is their fact check. And they also said that Amy Marcos authored, okay? Missing nga daw yung concept. Ontiveros did not file SB 1936 in the 18th Congress. She is not the principal author of SB 1411. While Marcos never even claimed to be the author. She just said in her post, she fought for it. And she is an author. So what the hell is their problem?
Ito singit ko lang Itong interaction is an online branch, okay, of the Philippine Star.
TV5 nga. Kaya nga, TV5, Philippine Star. Isa sila, mga yes. Kay Manny Pangilinan.
Sila din yung fact check ng yung Philstar. Tapos yung nag-fact check doon sa movie ng Made in Malacanang, Channel 5, interaction din yun.
And you say, I only get 6 likes? Grabe naman. For that? For that effort?
Oo.
Ay, reach ko dyan? Anong reach? Reach ba?
Zero engagement. Kailan mo pinost? 10 hours ago.
Yes.
Holy Mother of God. You are throttled like shit.
Can you even believe this?
No, I don't. I already don't believe it ever since.
10 hours ago. Kailangan ko ito i-boost. Baka kailangan mo i-boost, magbayad ako, no?
Wag, di yumaman pa yung enabler nitong kalokohan na to. Okay, but anong punto nito? Sige, go ahead.
The point here is, she was saying, di ba, that she is so, they're supposed to be the gatekeepers, tama?
Mm.
And they're supposed to be the most intelligent. Teka lang ha. Ano nga ba yung sabi niya?
Trained, the trained elite
Oo.
journalists. Mm.
Okay, lagay ko lang ulit ha. You know, journalists were trained to make decisions about who was right and who was wrong.
And who was wrong?
And this is
Okay,
her
what does
journalism
that
work.
mean? What does that mean?
This
So
this is
that
her
they will
upper
say,
work. Yeah, they know
that history will be
that
judged by journalists. Kung sinong tama
yes,
dyan at sinong mali, journalist
yes.
ang mag-judge niyan.
Like this
Pero
one, this fact check will go down into history.
magaling.
Okay, this fact check
Magaling.
about Amy Marcos will go down in history.
Mm. As a will go down in history and crashing and burning because of us.
Yes, because
So tayo yung kalaban nila.
but they have throttled it so much that I could not even get it out.
Okay. So
And that is
now,
what we mean by muffled.
okay.
Ah,
So
maz-
what is
ma-
the what is the general
Okay.
setup of this now? Tell us.
The general setup nila.
Oh,
Wait lang.
ano yung sitwasyon natin ngayon? What is this? Make a
Tayo?
statement of what is this?
Okay.
Mm.
This is what exactly Maria Reza has planned and is planning to execute. And
Yes.
this involves all of us silenced. Okay?
Mm.
Okay? Rappler's relationship. Can you have done what you have done with Rappler without Facebook? No, absolutely
No.
not. You
Yes.
know I couldn't. So this is why I have a love-hate relationship with them. Okay? Okay? You know Facebook says remove five, you break things. You broke democracy, now you fix it. Just fix it, right? You never
Yan, maganda yan.
going to get it right. Unfortunately, we can stay where we are right now. I think there's good faith, so this is where we are today. We're working closely with Facebook, with Twitter, and Google.
There you go.
I
There
think
you go.
our world is tech driven. The future of journalism is in data and tech. We need to be able to work closely and understand how data and tech will change our world.
Okay. I-post mo yan yung source natin diyan. Because I want to go back to let's abstract the lesson of all this so that we can start closing up, no? This night. Pero this lesson continues kasi mahaba to, may mga video pa kami ipapakita sa inyo about what exactly is going on. Itong nakikita natin, Maria Reza saying all of these things is a symptom of something
of a bigger. Okay, remember,
Yeah.
she's not alone. As we were saying, she is representing an ideology. Okay,
an ideology of the elite.
She may just be so idiot
Careless.
to be
Careless.
saying all of these things.
In
In
open
Oxford, in Oxford, thinking that none of us,
we'll
thinking
see
that
it.
none of us,
We'll read it.
are intelligent enough to look for it.
Yes. So what is this? Let's abstract the principal statements for this so that we can connect it to the kind of government that we have and what they intend to do with our government, our society, and the rights of the people who believe that they are democratic. Okay? Ano itong ginagawa nila? They want to make dominant a kind of democracy that we do not have yet in this country. They want a kanina pluralist democratic system like America where an elite is allowed by law to exist.
Okay. The pluralist system doesn't necessarily require the existence of an elite. Okay, but
No,
the
not
pluralist
necessarily.
will tolerate
Allow.
it.
Yes,
But
will allow.
but an elitist with a pluralist perspective is the most dangerous kind
Dangerous thing.
dangerous
Democracy.
kind of democratic person, because this is the result for this industry. This is the example of an elitist pluralist
Little shit. Okay, bakit
Okay?
bakit
And
yung
this is her
problema?
face.
Yan siya. Binigyan ng award ng Sweden yan.
No,
Ay
and
ng
do you know what this was for?
Norway.
Do you know what
Mm.
this was for? Huh?
Mm.
This one was, okay. Here's the
Nobel
transcript or interview with in 2018. Okay? You see?
Mm.
Ito yung mga maganda dyan eh. Yung mga, alam mo yun. And this was only posted,
Published
huh?
2021.
Because you won a
The Nobel
Nobel
Prize.
Prize. Now, I do not
So
know
it
what
was
the intention was. Huh?
anticipatory.
No. I do not know what the intention was of this Professor Nielsen because he's not editorializing it. He's not saying that this is a nice thing. But maybe he's just telling the whole world, I interviewed that girl. Look at what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Because he's not saying that this
Yes.
wow, diba?
But my point here is this, and which is the content or the theme of the next lessons that we will have. Okay? Na ang nangyayari dito, ito, si Reza is just a specific example of a greater societal upheaval. Ito yung pagbabago sa ating mundo ngayon. Nangyayari ito sa maraming lugar, including Ukraine and Russia, including Taiwan and China, including North Korea and South Korea, and China and America right now. What's going on? What's going on is that information is being controlled, and they are using the tool, a tool to control the information of the world, and they call it social media and traditional media. In other words, they are weaponizing to quote a term Reza likes to use.
Yes, because they also consider us weaponized.
Yes,
against them.
So what is happening here is that somebody or some group, which is the elite, we have already shown that, wants a system that is a pluralist kind of democracy where the elite is allowed to exist and even dominate, just like in America, di ba? Ang example niyan is America legislates in their constitution a popular vote of the presidents, of their leaders. But at the same time, merong electoral college. Yung electoral college can only exist in a pluralist democracy. Sa atin, hindi tayo pluralist kaya wala tayong electoral college that can actually veto the result of a popular election, even if they are just a few number of people. They are just like 12 or 30 people that can completely overturn a popular vote.
Theoretically, yes, but never pa nangyari. But the point here is...
nangyari na yan. 2 beses na nangyari yan sa Amerika in history.
Pero noon pa siguro yan. And there's already... okay. So, ito si Maricel, no? She's asking, maybe she's new, no? How did Rappler become the fact-checker of FB? Yun, we discussed this already, and maybe you can look back into our old, how they are connected to FB and exactly through what mechanisms. And that is now the problem, no? Kasi, kumbaga, si FB chose another entity, and that entity was the one who chose them. So, if you look at FB's rules, in fact, FB's rules are not that bad. Okay?
They're good.
They're not that bad. They only prohibit yung mga speech that will promote making bombs, killing people, alam mo yun?
Yes.
But that's what we're doing. I'm just exposing Maria Reza's
lies,
fact-checking, and how incompetent it is, and then I get throttled for it. Is that fair speech? Diba?
So ano ang nangyayari? Ano nangyayari? Ginagamit ni Maria Reza yung tool of fact-checking, to dominate the people who oppose their elitist system that they want to implement in this country. Yun yung ginagawa nila. That is what is going on. They call Duterte a populist. So now we know that she is not a populist. She is a elitist pluralist.
Pluralist. Okay? We have her now. We have her name now, okay? Class. Repeat
pluralist.
after me. maganda siya. Pluralist elitist.
Elitist.
No?
Ah, yan.
Pluralist
Elitist. Ah,
elitist. Ah?
yan. So,
Queen
malinaw
of
na
the
yan.
Philippine media.
Na-establish na natin yan. Why she hates a certain group of people, or in fact, the majority of this country,
Hmm.
and calls them a populist because she is a pluralist and also an elitist. Why elitist? Elitist siya dahil naniniwala siya na there is a certain group of people who are pluralists that are even better than any other pluralist. And those are the journalists. They are the gatekeepers of what is
The
true
gatekeepers. The
in, a,
gatekeepers.
in not only in a pluralist system, but also
And
in a democratic system.
they get to say who
Okay?
is right or wrong.
They get to say
Huh?
what is right or wrong. So now we know that she is also elitist. She's not
Yeah.
only a pluralist, she also is elitist. So
And,
pluralist, elitist siya.
and as what we have seen in my posts about how they decide what is right or wrong, you
Hmm.
can see how wrong they are.
Okay, so
Okay?
but I think that the important matter
Stars
here
muna,
is to
stars.
understand.
Stars.
The important matter here to
Stars.
understand while you stars there is
Oh, stars.
that it's the fact checking that is the problem, because they can use
Oh.
it as a tool to
Oh.
make pluralist elitism win in this country.
In fact, we can begin with that, no? How they make an excuse. Kung sila ba
Mm.
talaga yung nagpapa-take down, nagpapa-ano? Ang sabi
Mm.
nila, hindi, it's not us. And we will begin with that.
Facebook yan. Oh,
Facebook yan, oh. Ang ganda ng
oh,
kanila explanation. May
yan.
only, may only report.
So we leave it at that. Before I show you a 5-minute clip, okay,
Yeah.
that will introduce us to this kind of analysis that we will do in the next following days.
Yun yung
How
ating
this
exit.
kind of yan yung ating ito yung exit
Extra.
natin.
Exit natin, oh. Video.
Start thinking that what they are doing is bad, but we don't seem to know why. Now we know. They want a kind of democracy that does not exist in this country to exist in this country. And that kind
It
of
exists in other
democracy,
places, ah.
yes, in America it's a pluralist they admit that.
Sometimes. But
Hmm.
they were against Trump because he was
Populist siya eh. Kalaban
populist.
naman talaga ng elitist yung populist. Okay?
Uh-huh.
So ito, that is what's going on. Uh, the Philippines is not a pluralist system of democracy. It is a participatory system of democracy.
We are
Maria Ressa
Republican,
doesn't like that.
Oh.
Doesn't like that because she wants that not everyone is given a voice. She said that in the intro of Uncle JP's discussion. She
But
wants
with her own voice, ah. I'm not putting
with her own
words
voice.
into her mouth.
Siya ang
I'm just
nagsabi.
I'm just reading for her.
She cannot allow a system where everybody has a voice.
Yes.
Kasi it will lead to chaos, sabi niya, it will kill democracy. She wants a place where there are groups. There are groups that are plural groups, maraming groups, pluralism of groups that are interact with each other, that affect policy, that affect the implementation of policy, but it does not stop there. She goes on to say, I not only want a system where groups are given voices, I want a system that have groups but also gives more power to a certain group, okay? Because they are a special breed of human beings. The journalists, the gatekeepers, and the fact checkers. So now that makes her a clear elitist. Yan ang gusto nilang mangyari sa Pilipinas. Gagawin tayong what? Pluralist, elitist system of democracy. How they are doing that begins with how they are using mass media and social media.
So before we play that, here's the parting words of Maria Ressa. Here's the last part we didn't talk about. Thinking fast, thinking slow, right? This goes down to the human beings who are reading or watching the stories that you do. Human beings today have been manipulated and act up on the adrenaline, the dopamine of social media. Anger spreads fast. It is emotionally driven. So here you come with a story. Here's your data journalism story. and it's got all these figures. It's not going to make a dent. So we have to find this balance between doing what we do best, which is telling good stories, adding the data, and then embracing the technology. In
Mhm.
the end, no journalist wants to be in an empty church like me, Maria Reza.
I
Our
want to
goal
be. Mm. Yeah,
our
go.
goal is to make our society better, to
Mm-hmm.
make our democracy stronger. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that the technology will allow us to do that. We
Weaponizing
just
technology.
have to get through this creative
Destruction.
destruction.
Kita nyo na?
Hanep!
Ah. So now, she wants democracy to exist, to develop, but first she has to destroy another kind of democracy, which is already what we are having in this country. Because she wants to destroy the participatory type of democracy and put in its place the pluralistic, elitist kind of democracy because her group will win in that kind of system. Okay? So now, I want to show you a clip that will introduce us to the intricacies of this problem of how we think of this thing that we just stated. And it will explain to you where we are. Okay? And after that, we will play the extra song, whichever it is, yung kanta ba ni magsasakang mangingisda o
Gusto ko
yung
si
ating
Manong,
tugtog.
musikero.
Si Panday, musikerong Panday.
Hmm.
Okay. So here is a clip. I want you to watch. Okay? This is
Go,
very
go.
short. It's four
Meron ba yung
minutes.
meron ba yung copyright? Naka ano yan?
Hindi,
Naka-ayos ka na dyan?
we are we are showing this
Acknowledge mo lang. Fair use, fair use.
i-acknowledge natin. Ito yung ating
Lagyan natin to sa banner.
dito
Play.
dito. Nakahanda na yan eh. Ang banner hinanda ko na eh. Ito.
May banner. Okay, sige.
Yan oh.
Creative Commons. Okay, yan. Sige.
Yan. Yan. Okay? So ito na yon ay teka, share ko muna. Share screen. Yun.
And then,
Share. Add. Yan. Naririnig nyo? Ay, hindi ko pa pala napi-play. Rinig? Do you hear it, Japes? Ito.
wala.
Yan.
No audio.
Walang audio. Okay, sandali. Let's correct that one. Stop sharing. Okay, let's stop that first and then share it again na may
Okay.
kasamang audio. Sige, ikaw muna. Saglit lang naman.
Okay, yes. Okay, so sa ating mga tagapakinig, no? May comments pa tayo dito nga dulo. Okay. Ang galing. Okay, nagustuhan ni Feisty. Naintindihan niyo yung I'm back. Coffee break lang. Sus naman, no? Di ba? Did you like that, Did you like that flow, no? Parang naluto ng matindi si doon, sariling mantika. But I think yung nag-upload nung kanyang interview. Do you have the audio already? Are you ready?
Yes.
Sige, play mo na.
I want to try it first para kung marinig ba talaga.
In this video, we're going to talk
Yeah.
about
It's
the
good.
impact
It's good.
of media
Good.
on politics. And in
Oh,
particular,
thank you, Judy Cat. Thank you,
how
Judy Cat.
media has changed over time.
Okay.
And how that might change political discourse over time, or how it might change people's views over time. So if we rewind many hundreds of years, you have the printing press that was invented in the mid-15th century. And then in the early 17th century, you have your first printed newspapers. And so much of early American history, the main form of media was the newspaper. And this is actually a picture of the New York Tribune from 1864. And you see, it doesn't look all that different from some of the newspapers today. And so you can imagine in the 18th and 19th century, newspapers were the most powerful way of getting views out. In fact, many of these historical documents that we study in American history, like the Federalist Papers, these were published in newspapers in order to affect public opinion. But then as we start to enter into the 20th century, technology starts to give us more forms of mass communication and mass media that might affect political discourse. So this is a picture of folks listening to a radio broadcast in the early 20th century. And there would have been an entertainment over these broadcasts, but there would also have been news. And so you can imagine that this affected people's views of politics. Politicians, leaders started to give speeches over radio. And as you get into the mid 20th century, TV becomes more and more pronounced of an influence on politics. This is a picture of Walter Cronkite, famous for being one of the most respected journalists in all of television and the first to broadcast a nightly news in the mid 20th century. Now, as you get to the late 20th century, not only do you have the major networks broadcasting news, but you start having the advent of cable news networks. So you start having a larger diversity of people who are giving news. And then as you get into the internet age, it explodes. You have blogs and news websites that start more and more to cater to specific views. And then with the advent of social media, you have a way for leaders or people who influence other people's thought to directly influence or directly communicate with those that follow them, whether we're talking about Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. And so an interesting question is, how has this affected political discourse? How has this affected politics? So many people would view this as a positive thing. That back in the day, it took a lot of capital, it took a lot of resources to print and publish a newspaper. It took a lot of resources to nationally broadcast news. And so it was a limited number of groups that could get the views out. While as you have the internet and social media, anyone can communicate with anyone else. And so this would have increased the number of media choices and increased the number of points of views that are out there. Now, others would argue that, well, that might be good, but maybe there are negative consequences to it as well. In the days of Walter Cronkite, everyone was kind of operating with the same information. But with social media, more and more people fear that we're living in our own echo chambers, that we tend to follow people who already believe what we believe, that we tend to go to the media sites that reinforce our existing beliefs. And so it is polarizing. And it could also be polarizing because we have to think about the economics of media. Many of these media outlets are for-profit businesses. And so they have to think, how do we get the maximum viewership? And that might be catering to what people already believe in or increasing the polarization, maybe demonizing the other side. Now, many people would also argue, along with that increased polarization and with this increased diversity, that more and more people are just doubtful of any news source, of any media source. And so they just become more skeptical and cynical of not just media, but the government as well. So it's an interesting phenomenon that we are living in as we speak. As much change as the newspaper or the radio or television broadcast happened, we are now in this time of accelerating change, where every few years it feels like there's a new medium coming out. And it's interesting to see how that will continue to evolve and affect our political discourse.
Sino yung bibigyan natin ng ano dyan, ng credit para mapasalamatan natin, di ba? Si author.
Yan, Khan Academy. It is a website. It is a online education website. It's beautiful. I like reading these guys. Pwede ka mag-aral dito and they will grade you and beautiful. I like it. Khan Academy. They produce this.
Yep.
Okay? So, yun yung iiwan natin sa inyo because in the next few days, we will continue with this kind of discussion and this kind of analysis on what exactly is going on in this country.
And who we're up against.
And who are doing this, okay? Beginning in social media. Music, sir.
So, music. Wag muna.
Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat. Stars.
Ano muna tayo? Thank you muna kami sa inyo. Ay, nako.
Alon ng kapalaran, tumigil na sa iyong pang-aabuso sa akin. Ako'y nasindak ng alurin sa baybayin ng kahirapan at kalungkutan. lang. Ang tindi ng sinabi ng aking kapalaran. Wala na akong pag-asa, yurap na aking dangal. Wala nang lugar pa akong masisilungan o alon ng kapalaran. Sana'y tumigil na. Ang tindi ng sinabi ng aking kapalaran. Wala na akong pag-asa, yurap na aking dangal. Wala nang lugar pa akong masisilungan o alon ng kapalaran. Sana'y tumigil na.